Having a creature as your main character definitely isn't new, but being able to grow and change it, not as upgrades between missions, but actively during each mission, is what truly sets Moduwar apart. Furthermore, discovering how to split this creature in pieces and giving each a specific task, only to merge them all together for a big fight with claws, jaws, whipping and spitting appendages, has been an unforgettable experience. Especially now with the newest feature, which lets you combine 3 such appendages into a massive one.
The Modu will unlock new venues for us to win this war!
In approximately 300 new RTS games I have looked at these last few years, rarely have I found such a unique gameplay design as I am playing today in this early access release version of Moduwar, which is now available for purchase with a discount at its Steam store page, which I have linked in the description. Moduwar developers have managed to create a lot of content while still being an indie studio and not getting a lot of attention in the media, only finding a publisher a few months before this release, despite working on the game for almost a decade. There are several missions of its storytelling campaign to play through, and these even have live action cutscenes, with actors, extras, and even a spaceship bridge for the setting of some of these.
Finally, I get to see you in the flesh. Nicely done, Modu.
Admiral, team are ready to bring the Modu aboard the ship.
Admiral, our forces in Sector 6D are scattered. Survivors report an onslaught.
I'll tell the team time's not on our side.
This is one of those classic old-school features most fondly remembered by Command & Conquer fans, but which has been used by other developers in a couple of other games over the decades. I would say too few developers use these for storytelling, while for me personally, it is one of my favorite features in such games. It just brings the immersion factor onto a whole new level, because it makes you, well, at least me, much more involved in the characters and their interwoven personal stories. Feel free to share which live-action cutscenes were your favorites over the years in the comments below.
Come, little one, come. You have much to learn.
Anyway, besides the campaign, Moduwar's early access version has multiplayer and skirmish with up to 4 players, an arena-style mode in which you can easily test out different organ configurations for your Modu, and even a sort of survival mode to test out your skills and try to reach an ever greater high score. I will of course show you each of these during this video. I have already made several such gameplay overviews of Moduwar earlier in its development, in which I showed you snippets of its content and features. But now, for this early access release version, and because there is now a publisher behind the game, I am able to do a sponsored video, helping me get closer to my goal of ditching my day job and bringing you such unique games far more often. So, in a totally uncharacteristic move for me and the way I play RTS games, I chose to try out the arena mode first. Since this mode lets you modify its game settings, I increased my build phase time, left resources and tech level at maximum, increased the difficulty in 2 different ways, and jumped off the deep end. Now, since I was familiar with the game to an extent, but not this latest version, I knew how to build, or should I say grow, a Modu, but putting its organs in the most advantageous places for combat is not something I had learned yet, so I did a fast and hazardous build. What I didn't expect was the heart, the core and center of my Modu to drop down, leaving only my grown organs in place. Going past my initial shock at this development, and because my Modu wasn't made up of too many organs, it was still able to move around. This is when I got what I asked for, a 2-front attack by a very strong enemy Modu, which was obviously much better designed for combat than my creation. This fight ended quickly, and I understood just how much out of my depth I was in this game mode and with the settings I chose. My second attempt at the arena game mode was more thought out, and my design for the Modu was better, but because I added so many more organs, it was not possible to move it, so I had to split it. But regardless, I had obviously bitten off more than I could chew, and after a fight between moths, tentacles, acid globes and other organic weapons, I realized I needed to go back to basics to learn about Moduwar in a more beginner-friendly environment.
You lost.
Meaning the campaign, which is made up of 4 missions, with more coming as updates during the early access period. As for the story, the Modu takes center stage in a universe-spanning conflict between the human faction of the Earth Repatriation Expedition and Chimera, an evil race bent on destroying humanity with no thoughts of compromise. It is the humans who find and exploit the Modu in a type of sentient biological warfare to fight off the relentless and superior Chimera who start to capture, change and enslave other Modu as their own weapons.
Everything is alright. We are in a bit of a hurry. I will explain everything later, but for now, just do as I say and you might live through this.
The first mission is a tutorial and it teaches you all the basics while revealing the story one monologue at a time. I say monologue because the Modu doesn't speak, so it is the voice actor's job to keep us invested in the world and lore, and I think they did a wonderful job with it. Here you are instructed step by step on how to move your Modu, add new base body tiles, as well as how to grow new organs on these tiles. The very first time you hear a mouth organ chew an obstacle, you know you aren't playing any sort of RTS you experienced before. Once you find your first enemies, you might actually get a feeling of playing a horror-like game, as all the new alien sounds and swimming movements compound the unique atmosphere of Moduwar. Growing new base tiles and more mouths on them to bite back the nasty-looking alien Chimera units is how you get your first taste of combat and start figuring out how to actually fight in this game. If your Modu receives too much damage to its heart central body section, you lose the game, which is why the developers added a sort of floating health balls, which actually made me think they were mines the first time I saw them, and I almost skipped this one. As you go through this first level, you reach another learning opportunity, and this time on how to use one of the game's defining features, which is splitting up your Modu into independent sections to deal with the environment or obstacles, for example. Now, from a gameplay perspective, it is a great addition and plays on the game's unique aspects. On the other hand, the utility of this feature is dependent on the developer's ingenuity to make such obstacles for you during the whole campaign to constantly give you reasons to use this feature. One of the biggest reasons isn't something you see in this first tutorial-like campaign mission, but in future missions and of course in Skirmish. But I'm getting ahead of myself. As you master the system of splitting and merging your Modu, you come to the end of this first campaign mission. Considering how strange this game's idea is, and how different it is from all other RTS games, the relative short length of this mission is exactly how it should be. This is also your very first encounter with the game's live-action cutscenes, or full-motion video sequence, and for an indie game, I think the developers did an outstanding job with it. Even the post-mission screen screams 90s classical RTS with its sounds, simple statistics, and even a score rating of how you did in that mission. Since there is a leave feedback button and this game is in early access, I really hope at least some of you use it and tell the developers what you think of their mission structure, pacing and your first impressions. I also invite you to do the same in the comments of my video, as I would love to read that.
Time larger than what you told me. What do you want me to do? To abandon fighting drone just to accommodate it?
This second full motion video sequence is the real deal. Multiple main characters, an actual full set of a human spaceship, complete with extras and spaceship controls. The only thing I would have changed here is to reduce the lighting on the set, as most old CNC games did these FMV sequences in dark rooms or command centers. Just a personal preference here, nothing more.
Get us out of here. If Miller has a death wish, so be it.
Now finally, as the second mission starts, we start learning about how the Modu collects resources, or to be more precise, how it eats and consumes resources out of which it can grow new base tiles and extra appendages. In addition to this, you begin to run into other organic lifeforms which inhabit this planet. These tool-using monkey-like creatures climb trees, build dams in rivers and construct homes. They are also an obstacle to your progress through this level. These dams in particular give you trouble as you move your Modu across the map. Combating these alien creatures requires some creative solutions, like biting off the branch they're attacking you from.
Much has been said of your ability to consume life forms and evolve through their genetic knowledge.
This level also shows you that the enemy of the human factions saw what they were doing and got Modu of their own, so you end up in a three-way fight against several types of domestic life forms, some still free, others under the yoke of the Chimera faction. So far, the pacing and scripting in these early access campaign missions is very good, and I didn't notice any slow parts or major jumps in difficulty which could annoy players. Now, this is the part of the mission where you have the extra resources necessary to start turning triple organs into their larger versions, giving you powerful spitters or huge mouths. You do this by selecting your main Modu's body, as separate units can't be grown anymore, and click on the organ you want to upgrade. They have to be in a strict triangle, and once you click on them, and if you have enough resources, 3 such organs instantly transform into a larger version. Along with this development, you start figuring out that spreading the Modu is the way to go by having several smaller but powerful units made up of combinations of organs like large mouths and large spitters. You also need to remember to use the right click to rotate your units or main Modu's body so that the best organ, or should I say weapon for the job, is turned towards your current opponent. The challenge to get used to this kind of gameplay is real, and Moduwar is one of the first RTS games in a long time which I didn't know how to play just by looking at it. It required experimentation, watching and reading online, and I'm still at a very beginner level, which is totally fine, and I welcome this feeling.
No one. You are being used by forces you don't understand.
As I don't want to spoil too much of the story and levels, I'm going to stop here with the campaign and let you enjoy it for yourself if you decide to buy this game and grow your own Modu. As for the current survival mode, it is very similar to the arena mode right now, with all the accompanying settings and some extra ones, like the time to grow your Modu between waves. These waves make up the main difference compared to the arena mode, because if you survive the first attack, there are many more to come. During the growing phase, you don't have a lot of time, so you should try this mode out only after learning the basics in the campaign missions. With my limited experience, I was planning out my Modu's organic design for combat with mouths at edges, eyes and brain at center, spitters and mortars at the middle, and a few other organs in between those. Each of those has a special purpose, and the tooltips on the lower right menu will explain these to you. The issue I ended up with as soon as the first wave was about to hit was that my Modu was too big to move, so I had to split it, but as I designed it from the outside in, splitting it created 2 halves which were not well designed for combat at short or melee range. With the middle part of the heart dropping out of the formation at the start of the battle, it also changes the whole design idea of my Modu, but even in this very short fight, I gained a lot of valuable experience on both the design and combat of the Modu for this game mode. The Skirmish mode in Moduwar, which has a few maps already available, is probably the second best way to learn about the gameplay and its mechanics in a more leisurely way, because if you choose a regular AI bot to play against, you can take your time figuring out the best resource harvesting techniques. From there, you can design different small and main Modu parts and test them out in small skirmishes and later bigger battles versus an AI that won't push or punish you for your inexperience right out of the gate, like in the arena or survival modes. Now, a few things of note that are important for figuring out how to play Moduwar. First of all, each base tile you grow from your heart organ is capable of storing a certain amount of resources called nutrients. These nutrients are spent on growing organs like the mouth, but those same mouths have a secondary function besides combat, which is to harvest nutrients from nodes spread around the map. The starting position has a good number of nodes, but they are spread out. So as you start harvesting your first nodes for nutrients with freshly grown mounts, you realize you can't really reach them just from new tiles grown from your heart. So this forces you to start learning how to use the split command and separate a few tiles and organs from your main module so they can be sent out to harvest nutrients from more nodes. The trick is that the mount organ by itself won't be able to store any nutrients, as it has taken up the tile it was grown on by its size, and so you have to always pair an empty base tile with a mount, as these base tiles have the capacity for storing gathered nutrients inside them. Only once this tile has been filled up does the whole section automatically move towards your main body and drop off its nutrients for your heart to be able to grow new organs out of them. This is totally wild in my book, making your own custom organic harvesters, which don't even have to be this simple. You can add more organs for defense or more base tiles for resource capacity, especially as the match progresses and the enemy attacks you. As you finish setting up such custom organic harvesters at your starting location on the map, you can move up to the middle and find even more resource nodes. Naturally, like in any other RTS game, this draws out your supply lines, and so Moduwar feels like a Homeworld-like game in this regard, because your production moves with your main body. Since you can only grow additional organs from tiles connected to your heart, you're basically a moving organic mothership. After taking time to figure out this kind of organ-based gameplay and framing it in my mind as a Homeworld-like game, I must admit I finally started to properly understand the gameplay of Moduwar. Despite playing in multiple game modes, it wasn't until I managed to play a proper match in Skirmish that my brain slotted this game in the correct folder. It's really funny when you think about it, because if you abstract the gameplay and distill it to its basic elements, it is very much your regular RTS game, even with a Homeworld-like twist. But for some reason, the organic aspect of it made the whole process much more difficult to get into and understand, for me at least. This is why I spent so much time and made so many videos about Moduwar, because from the very first time I saw this game in early development, I knew its design was so different that it was going to make a lot of people shake or scratch their heads, me included. Especially because I read RTS fans commenting so many times in my videos or other places online that they want something new to play, and that they had enough of StarCraft, Age of Empires or Command & Conquer clones. Well, my fellow RTS fans, this is as strange, wild and different as I have ever seen it. I hope you jump aboard this early access version, play a lot of it and give your honest feedback to developers so they can improve it and complete the content in a way that even more players will want to try it out. Anyway, as my module grew from all the resource nodes I was harvesting, I was able to add numerous other appendages to it and make a sort of offensive main body, which I even managed to grow beyond its ability to move itself. So once again I was forced to split off some tiles and organs. I didn't do that quite well in my hurry to not be a sitting target for the enemy's module mortar organs, which are the ones lobbing those green globes at my module. Now, interestingly enough, I designed my module to be one huge organic blob of mouths, tentacles, spitters and mortars, while the AI bot used many individual or dual organs separated from his main body. This is because you can look at split organs like units in any regular RTS game, and you can command them separately, but they can't benefit from the buffs provided by organs such as brains or eyes, which are still connected to my module's main body. As I started to eat the living heart of my opponent, quite literally, because that is what my main enemy is, I realized just how much more getting used to Moduwar's unique gameplay I have ahead of myself. There are more features hidden under the surface, like organs, which have special effects which you can activate to give your Modu limited boosts, but this is something I'm going to let you discover on your own. For more such new games, check out the cards on the screen or links in the description. Thank you for watching and happy gaming!